Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our TGIF and Product Owner episode this week with Peter Müller. Hey Peter, welcome back.
Hello Vasco, and again we are here. Nice.
It's hopefully a spring day over there in South Germany where you are. Let's imagine it is for a second, and we're out in the local restaurant, Stube. Is that how you pronounced it?
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Genau, Stube.
Mm-hmm. Stube. And we're in the terrace and having a beer, non-alcoholic for those of you that don't drink alcohol. And we're talking about product owners because there's so many stories about product owners. So let's explore at least two stories. Let's see how many in the end. The first story is going to be a bad example. We'll talk about a great example in a minute, but for now, a story of a product owner that was potentially one of the worst product owner anti-patterns you've witnessed in your career, Peter.
Okay. So actually, I go back to a maybe very famous anti-pattern, which is micromanaging.
So what do you mean by that?
I mean by that there's a product owner, or there was a product owner who actually questioned each and every step the team is doing with respect to task. Is this the right task? And we should do this or that. Have you think about this? And wouldn't it be better to make it this way? Yeah? So these kind of interactions where more and more the team members, so the developers, they how do I say, push back? No, not push back. That's more. They take themselves back. So they take themselves back because they know that there will be questions of the PO and they will be deep, and so they start to say, should I do this? Should I do that? Because there's this high level of being controlled, right? So there's no freedom in order to develop my own potential anymore. So I just stick to myself and make myself small, to be honest. No, I make myself small as a developer. And I think this is happening, at least I saw it in two cases. One is where the product owner was a developer himself, and goes into the PO accountability, where he then thinks that he is still developing and knows things better and stuff like that, because usually the PO is one of the, say, better developers. And another thing I saw where this happened was when we simply rename a project manager to product owner. Of course,
specifically in that case, like what do you think are the baggage, maybe the habits, the thought patterns that these project managers bring to the PO role that leads to this micromanaging perspective?
I think one aspect is that usually if you take the project management, discipline, that the project manager is the one who is responsible for everything. So we have a total responsibility, which includes also how things are done, actually. And this mindset might, I say might, just for the listeners, might, not every project manager thinks like that, but many I encounter with. I think I don't know if this was right. Yeah. Okay, they stick to this thinking that they are responsible, and because they are responsible, they need to control. And the idea of shared ownership, for example, is not so present. And of course, since they were working several years as project manager, and they might even be successful project managers, they stick to this habit because it's their habit for a long time. They need to relearn, and they need to, actually, they first need to forget this habit so that they can relearn how to live shared ownership. And this is difficult, especially when we come to situations where it's stressful, where you have pressure, because then you usually fall back to old habits, right? And so they start more and more controlling when there's pressure. And sometimes we have pressure in product development.
So before we dive into what a great product owner looks like, let's share a few tips from your experience on what helps us, Scrum Masters, work with these product owners and help them realize what they're doing and eventually change their behavior.
Yeah. So I think what first comes into mind is that we usually then say things like, hey, you have to trust your developers. I think this is not enough. I think what we have to do is also to work, so to say, on the self-confidence of the product owner, so that they are really, that they have the trust in themselves, that they can make a step back and say, yes, I'm good enough as I am, and I can provide the space for the developers. Even if this means that I have to take some pressure, because it is difficult for me to step back if I have this, the feeling that, oh, they are not doing it in the right way, maybe, and stuff like that. But they need the space to learn, hold me back. And here, to support them in developing the self-confidence that it is okay and good, and how to work with this pressure is important, I guess. For me, that is what I say.
Yeah, absolutely. And this ability to trust themselves is then, of course, as we were talking about yesterday, mirrored into the team. And if you don't trust yourself, then you can't trust the team either, right? And this is a very important aspect. If we trust ourselves, then we know that we will bring whatever is needed to help the team succeed.
Yes. And
now, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that we, as Scrum Masters, should not forget that we usually just point to this point that trust your team, gives them space, but working on this self-trust, that this is an aspect we should not forget.
Now, of course, some product owners are excellent at what they do, and we want to explore one of those right now, Peter. So share with us the best product owner you've ever worked with. How did they work?
Actually, I remember one. It was several years ago, unfortunately, so a long time ago, who came up with an idea on how he would like to work with the team, and it was fitting to the Agile idea. So shared ownership, and he was so confident that this is the right way, that this helps the whole team to flourish, because it's not that he just stated in a say dry way. He also made it in a way which is which looks very good. So the beneficial future, the nice future. And if we work this way, then it will happen this or that. He also was very aware of that. In that particular case, we were just starting with a new product, so we need to set up the environment as well. So he was also aware that, for example, setting up an environment which allows us, for example, for automatic testing is important. So he was also encouraging the team to invest time to find a very good, let's call it pipeline, so that later on it was easy to develop faster and faster, because we know that the technical background was there and it was fitting and very stable. And he also does not tell us to the team. He also stands in front of the stakeholders and explaining them why it is necessary that we will not start right from scratch with just producing features. So, and this was for me a very, very good PO, in the sense that he was able to say, okay, my vision is that in the long run, we were successful. We are then able to deliver high quality software. But this requires now to make a step back, so to say, with respect to features, and to create our foundation in order to be able to do this. And this also provides us with the next aspect, that the team can then better use this time to come together. How do we want to work together? What is our understanding of quality? And all of this stuff he was supporting, because he had the vision. In the future, if we have that set up, we will have a better way of producing high quality software. So, and I liked it pretty much.
And this is a great way to, like when you describe this PO was able to envision the future for the team, like,
Yes.
how will it be if we work this way? But as you said, it also opened up the space for the team themselves to envision their future.
Yes.
And of course, also what they needed in order to get to that future.
Yes, because he just states, I think, okay, what we need is a foundation. However, he was not interfering with how we reach it. So the how remains with the team. He encourages them to discuss things. He invited them to discuss things. And he made pretty clear that it is important that we do it. So the urgency, let's put it, the urgency was pretty clear.
I was just wondering if this is the kind of product owner you would have needed in that Tuesday team, right? Like a product owner that would be there and would create that vision of the future to get the team unstuck.
Yeah. So it would be an environment where people at least see, this is something we can strive for.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to follow actually then the product owner, which sounds a little bit strange because the product owner is for the product, yes, but we need to follow the idea of the vision and how we would like to do it.
I think that's one perhaps underplayed and underestimated aspect of Scrum, which is quite visible in the latest Scrum guide, which is that the product owner is part of the team.
Yes.
It's not an outsider,
no.
right? It's part of the team.
Yeah. And that we are all accountable for this product success. So this involves everybody, and everybody takes his share, so to say. It needs to be there for the share. It needs to take it. Yeah.
So we are almost at the end, Peter. But before we go, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
You can find me on LinkedIn. And I don't know the exact link URL now, but we will share it, I guess.
We will share it on the show notes for sure. People can easily find it in the show notes.
Yes, and I'm really happy to hear from everybody, about anything actually, how they perceive the messages we produced here, and I'd like to discuss it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So everybody, why not link up with Peter on LinkedIn and also visit his meetup, Supervision for Agile Professionals. I'll put the link to that on the show notes as well, so that people can easily find it.
I forgot
Peter, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you for the invitation. I enjoyed it pretty much.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. So join us at scrummasterpodcast.com and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more full week of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.